Hi, everyone. My name's Danielle, and I'm excited to be here at this year's family gathering. I'm really excited to share with you information on clinical studies and trials, and I hope this will help you as you explore your choices. It's great to be able to say that, actually explore choices. Today, I'd like to share with you the difference between clinical studies and trials, why clinical trials have phases, understand why some trials include pediatrics and others do not, discuss factors to consider when deciding to enter a clinical trial, questions you may want to ask the investigator or research coordinator, and last, how to find clinical trials. The main differences between clinical studies and clinical trials can be summed up in two words: observation and intervention. Clinical studies look at how a disease like FOP behaves in the absence of any treatment. How does FOP affect how you feel or function at 10, 20, or 30 years old? How does FOP affect one's ability to live independently or pursue a career? Then there are clinical trials, in which one studies the effect an intervention such as a medication has on how FOP makes you feel or function. Is your stiffness or limited mobility the same, better, worse? How about FOP pain? Is it the same, better, or worse? Clinical trials where there is an intervention such as a medication have 4 different phases. So why is this? Generally speaking, each phase includes more patients, and we learn more about the effectiveness and safety of the medication as it passes through each phase. Phase 1 studies are conducted in a small number of healthy individuals and not those with FOP to assess safety of the medication and its potential side effects. This is done in healthy individuals because we want to separate side effects of the medication from symptoms associated with FOP. This is also an opportunity to determine the timing and concentration of medication needed to enter the bloodstream. In phase 2, we focus on the safety of the medication in patients with FOP and start to look at the drug's ability to treat FOP at that dose. Researchers are looking for signs the drug is effective short term. Phase 3 trials are designed to answer whether the drug is able to treat this disease. To do this, phase 3 trials may include a larger number of patients, a longer period of treatment, or both. Sometimes, especially in rare diseases such as FOP with fewer patients, you may see phases combined, such as a phase 2-3 trial. Pharmaceutical sponsors and regulatory agencies that govern clinical trials are working together to establish safety and efficacy of new medications for everyone. Phase 4 trials happen after a drug is approved. We want to know what it means to stay on a drug for a long period of time, so we do a lot of following up. Let's look at the phases of FOP drugs in development. Phase 1 trials in healthy human subjects have been completed for Daiichi Sankyo's antibody against the ALK2 receptor, Keros' kinase inhibitor, and BioCryst's kinase inhibitor. Phase 2 trials where safety is assessed in those with FOP, and we begin to look at potential efficacy. We have rapamycin in Japan, Incyte's kinase inhibitor, Ipsen's kinase inhibitor, and StopFOP at the University of Amsterdam, London, England, and Germany. Oops, sorry about that. Garetosmab and palovarotene are both in phase 3 trials where we're really looking at the efficacy of the medication, the potential efficacy. So we have trials, phases of development, and designs specific to the goal of each study. The first design, is a placebo-controlled trial design, and it's what most of us think of when we think of a trial. Half the participants get the drug, the other half receive a pill or other medication that looks like the real drug to tell us whether or not the drug works better by not taking the drug. Open labels are those where everyone in the study is taking study drug and there's no placebo group. So I want to take a moment to talk about the crossover design, the third kind of trial. In a crossover design, researchers often combine the two designs, placebo and open label, into a single trial. After entering the trial through a screening process, FOP participants are randomly assigned to either an intervention group taking the medication or the placebo group for the first part of the study, let's say maybe 6 months. For the remaining 12 months, everyone is on medication. This provides investigators with a glimpse into the effect of a placebo and gives everyone in the trial the opportunity to take the medication. And lastly, a rollover study. A rollover study design is also sometimes called an extension study. A rollover trial allows for patients participating in one trial, such as the palovarotene phase 2 MOVE trial, to roll over into the phase 3 palovarotene PIV1 trial, so investigators can continue to measure and observe longer-term safety and longer-term efficacy. So we have placebo-controlled, open-label, crossover, and rollover trial designs. Should I be in a trial? This is a really important question to be asking yourselves. There's a lot to think about and to discuss with your family, friends, and physician when considering participating in a trial. It's a time commitment that can exclude you from participating in other trials. You cannot be in more than one trial at once. There may be extra testing like blood draws or whole body CT scans. Researchers have a reasonable expectation the drug will be effective, but because the drug has not been tested in individuals with FOP, we don't know for sure whether or not it will work. And there may be anticipated side effects that you're warned about, and there may be unanticipated side effects. This is, after all, the first time the drug's been tested in someone with FOP. On the plus side, participating in a trial can be empowering. You did not choose FOP, but you can choose your reaction to it. You may have access to an effective medication. Additional testing may be cumbersome, but it also means that you and your disease are being monitored closely. Participating in a trial for FOP can help you, but it can also help others. Trials must be conducted before any drug is approved. A note about children in clinical trials. The IFOPA has heard from several parents regarding their desire to prevent disability for their children through access to medications being tested in clinical trials, and have expressed their disappointment that many trials do not include young children. The reason for this is an abundance of caution. Children are not small adults. First, we want to measure safety and efficacy in adults and take that information into consideration for trials with adolescents, then use the adult and adolescent data to design trials for children. If we look at the slide here, we see 3 studies for those with FOP who are for 18 and older. One for 14, the PIV1 trial with palovarotene. The age was chosen as a direct result of a previous study, so the first step was already taken. IPN 60130 lists children as young as 5 as eligible to enter the trial. However, inclusion will only occur after the adults and older children have taken the drug, and the data has been submitted to regulatory agencies such as the European Medicines Agency and the United States FDA for approval to enroll younger children. What to expect in a trial? Number 1, initial discussions with the principal investigator leading the trial at your site or the study coordinator, sometimes called a research nurse, will help you understand the trial design, what is expected of you, and what investigators hope to learn. 2, screening to determine if you are eligible. A genetic diagnosis may be needed. You may need to be screened to be sure you aren't experiencing other health issues other than FOP, and you may need to be able to undergo a whole body CT scan or other testing. If there's a placebo portion of the study, neither you nor the study coordinator or even the lead investigator will know if you are on drug or placebo. So that's just an important point for you. There will be study visits to monitor how you're doing, which may include blood draws or, as I mentioned, whole body CT scanning. So there are expectations. Questions to ask before enrolling. These are really important. Is there any preliminary data? Has it been tested in patients with FOP? If yes, what was learned? If it's a phase 3 trial, what was learned in phase 2? What is asked of me in terms of time commitment? Will the trial cover the cost of transportation or hotel stays if those are necessary? If there's a placebo, is there a time when everyone gets to take the medication, like a crossover design? What other trials are available in FOP? Because you will be talking to FOP investigators, he or she, they may be aware of other trials in FOP, so you may want to explore your options. What else should I have to consider? Can I leave the trial to go to another one? No one can make you stay in a trial. However, it's really important to fully consider whether or not you might drop out before you enroll. Researchers from the trial need full data sets to draw conclusions about whether or not a drug is working. Anything else you want to know? You are empowered to join or to not join a trial. The choice is yours. There are several ways to search for trials. So now that you know the questions to ask, there are several ways to search for trials in FOP. Number one, ask your FOP physician. He or she may be very aware of what's happening. They most likely will be aware. Check the IFOPA website. Clinicaltrials.gov, I know many people are familiar with. The European Union Clinical Trials Register, and the pharmaceutical sponsor. If you hear the specific company is hosting a trial, they will have information on their website. So here's a screenshot of IFOPA's website listing clinical trials. You can go to the site or reach out to any of us on staff. Watch for upgrades to this site section of the website. We're working to make it more user-friendly and informative based upon your feedback. Clinicaltrials.gov is a database of the U.S. National Institutes of Health, which lists clinical trials around the world. Here is a screenshot of clinicaltrials.gov. For those of you familiar with clinicaltrials.gov, it may look a little different than you're used to seeing. The website is currently undergoing an upgrade and now includes filters for you to see what is your local area. If you know a little bit about the trial, like an acronym or the name of a company, you can search that way too. For clinicaltrials.gov, when you click on a particular study, you'll be able to learn more by reviewing the study overview, who to contact by phone or email to learn more, enroll, or both. Contact information is always listed if a trial is enrolling. Another useful site is the European Union Clinical Trials Register. It has a search bar circled here in the middle of the page in red. If you put FOP into the search bar, you'll find a number of trials, including those that are enrolling, as well as those that have ended, even if they've ended more than a year ago. This is also true for clinicaltrials.gov. History is not removed from these listings, so you can see what's happened before. When you click on a study record in the EU Clinical Trials Register, you can see, let's see if that's, yep, okay, circled in red here. Sorry about this. When you click on a study record, it may not be clear from here. Often the information listed in EU Clinical Trials Register is much more extensive than what you will find in IFOPA's website or clinicaltrials.gov. So what's circled here are additional links, and you'll be able to find more information there just in general. So it's good to keep this in mind. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And if there's anything I can do for you, please reach out to me. So my information is listed on the upper left corner. And we have additional resources for you on the IFOPA website. We've created an interactive glossary that uses a lot of terms that you'll become familiar with as you search through clinical trials. We've added a frequently asked questions section as well. And we have some videos explaining clinical trials in general. So we're happy to walk you through those, share that with you, or answer any question you have. Thank you, and have a great family gathering.